I am as passionate about our mission as I was when we started the brand. We've not done enough of a job because people are still effing up their faces. They're still over exfoliating their skin. They're still buying things because they're viral on TikTok that aren't right for them. So I've not done my job yet. My job is not complete to spread that knowledge to a point where people are like, hey, I get it. It's sexy. I like it, but it's not for me. And if I can get people to do that, I've done my job. And if they buy an Inkey List product along the way, then fantastic.
Love that. Love that. Have you ever wondered why some brands grow exponentially, building legions of passionate fans that live and die by their logos, and some, well, don't? I do, all the time, and that's probably because I'm a massive brand nerd, but I believe there's a secret sauce at the core of every remarkable brand, a formula that sparks the growth of passionate communities of superfans, building a business and a reputation that will last for years to come. In this podcast, we tap into the greatest marketing minds in the world as they share the exact tactics and strategies used to build the world's greatest brands, dropping actionable insights every brand builder can apply. My name is Paul Archer, and I'm a specialist in brand advocacy and word of mouth, having consulted for hundreds of brands on a topic. Co-hosting with me is the wonderful Verity Hurd, expert on the bleeding edge of social media. It's time to learn and build brand advocacy. Hello, welcome to Building Brand Advocacy. My name is Paul Archer. I am your host today, and I'm joined by the amazing Colette Laxton of the Inkey List. Colette, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm very good. Thank you, Paul. How are you?
I'm good. I'm psyched. I mean, it's only 5 p.m. here. We're both in the UK and it's like pitch black outside, which is miserable.
It feels pretty dark, but I'm excited to be here. We're going to get the energy going.
We're going to get it pumped. So for anyone, the few people who won't know who you are and your incredible brand, tell us all about Inkey List, what it is. And actually, I'd be really interested in understanding why did you start it in the first place?
So the Inkey List is a British skincare brand, and we launched it 6 years ago. And we had a very clear single mission, which was to spread the beauty of knowledge to the world. We wanted to call BS on the beauty industry that was very opaque back in 2018. Fun fact, you wouldn't even have ingredients lists on retailer and brands' websites. So people were buying things they didn't even know what was inside. So there was a very opaque beauty industry built on marketing magic and a load of BS. And we were calling BS on that. So we wanted to deliver a brand that was truly for everyone. Everyone's invited to the Inkey List because we're going to give you the knowledge you need to empower you for you and your skin. Very, very simple concept. We are as black and white as our packs. We'll tell you like it is. No questions too big or small. We just want to help you find the right product for you and your skin. As simple as that. So that's the brand. And then why we started it was because of the BS. Our background, so I've co-founded it with a guy called Mark Curry, who is a scientist by background, but we actually met working at Boots together. He was a healthcare buyer, and I'd spent 10 years working through product development and marketing of beauty brands. So it kind of, the stars aligned. We had the right background, and we said, hang on a minute, we can do this and we can do this way better.
Amazing. And if anyone doesn't know what Boots is, it's a British version of Walgreens, but people love it. There's a lot of passion for that as a retailer.
There's a lot of passion for Boots. It's quite unique, and trying to explain it to people in the US, they're like, hang on a minute, it's Walgreens, but it's sexier than Walgreens. But it's not quite an Ulta or Sephora. It's somewhere in between all of those things. But yeah, lots of love for Boots on the high street, that's for sure.
I actually love that description. What was your biggest takeaway from working 10 years at Boots? I mean, just what was that one thing that you think just like sets you above the rest because of that?
Wow. Everything, the end to end. Like, I truly did the groundwork. I worked in every single department. I started by putting toys onto the Boots.com website. Who knew they did toys? They did back in the day. But I literally learned how to load products onto a website, right through to working with suppliers on packaging, right through to working in the department that acquired brands. So I really have a full end-to-end perspective of what's great, what's not, and really how to build a brand.
And fast forward to today, I mean, Inkey List, it clearly hit a nerve. I mean, it's doing phenomenally well. I mean, um, where are you right now? I know you've got a sort of social following combined of over 1 million people. Where is the business right now, and what's next for it over the next couple of years?
Yeah, so it's 6 years, and it honestly, I can't believe it's been 6 years. We've grown incredibly fast, and are very lucky that we have resonated globally. We've hit, the magic milestone of $100 million in sales, which is yeah, mind blowing. And we've built an incredible community of, like you said, over 1 million followers, and people that are now obsessed with the Inkey List. And it's nice. I would say in the last couple of years, we've gone from being a kind of a niche indie beauty brand to kind of a main staple in people's bathroom cabinets, which is really the goal. So that feels pretty good on a daily basis. It's hard work, but yeah, it's nice to become recognized as a brand that's truly valuable in people's lives.
Huge. 100 million in 6 years is just remarkable. And if you think about that, like, yeah, very much a cult brand. You sort of hit the zeitgeist. People loved it. You can't be $100 million brand and still really be that cult indie sort of brand that we can speak cult, but you're certainly not indie at that sort of stage. Um, how have you built this community while sticking to your values? Because that kind of idea of scaling whilst actually sticking to who you are, like, have you been true to that? And what has been the secret to that?
It's really tough. It's really tough because the reason that people resonated with the Inky List was our true authenticity. So, Paul, speaking to you now, if I met you down the pub, or if I was selling to you in a boot store, or I was at an influencer event, like, I am who I am, and I am an authentic founder, and our team are authentic and genuine. And that's great when you're an indie brand and you're super small and you can really have that human touch point, but it is definitely much harder as you scale. And for me, that has been the biggest challenge, but the biggest factor of our success is truly staying authentic to who we are, making sure that everything we do is human and personal. So how do we give skincare education? We have a Ask Inkey service, which is a one-on-one skincare support service. Team answering DMs or comments and speaking to people on social. It's real and it's human, and we do everything we can to make that experience as personal and as human as possible. Using tech to support us to get there, but building a big team of people, whether that be skincare experts online through to field team out in stores. We're just trying to spread the word in the most human and authentic way possible.
And my team are bored of me saying this to them, but I'm obsessed at the moment of like focus, and focus not being about choosing what to do. It's about choosing what not to do. And what I love, that like the best brands in the world, if you ask them what it is about their brand, that they often will tell you a much longer list of what they're not. So like, given that to you, what don't you do, and what is the Inkey List not?
We don't chase fads, we don't chase trends, and we don't chase numbers. So if you think about building a community, what would be the easiest way to build a community? Find some great macros that are super relevant, pay them a load of money, jobs are good. It's not. And we actively are grassroots still and do a lot of grunt work to build community of the right people. And for me, it's about playing the long game. It's not about the quick win. And we've been very lucky that our scale has been speedy. But if you play the long game and do the right thing with the right people, that's where you get the results. I think a lot of brands and businesses get very excited by KPIs and ranking and, let's be the number one EMV brand and do it at any cost. And you can pay to play and you can do some shortcuts, but it's that longevity piece for me. What I will not do is chase a short-term number or chase a short-term viral moment or building of an audience.
It's easy to say that when we're flying, right? And there's going to be people who are listening here, which they're like, okay, that's all well and good when you're growing massively, but I've got to make the bills pay. And I'm sure that it hasn't been all constant growth and rosy throughout that. Like, can you think of a time where those ideals were really challenged, and what it was that you did to try and keep you sticking to to the vision that you had?
Launching in North America was really, really, really tough. And even to this day, there's different rules of the game. We're in 35 countries as a brand. So playing to the rules of each market is really challenging. And I would say in North America specifically, brands are so loud and so aggressive. And it is hard. There are times where you're like, oh, I just need a shortcut. I just need to work with the right influencer to hit that mark. And, the first year of the US was dicey. Like it was dicey. We were super lucky that Sephora caught wind of the brand and we launched into North America within 6 months of launching. So they loved the idea. They loved what we'd started to build in the UK, but you're talking, literally 6 months. And I had to fake it before I made it. And that was scary, within a couple of months of launching in the North America market, the numbers weren't there immediately. It did take a minute. And, we maybe were naive thinking that if we had an overnight success in the UK, that we would have an overnight success in North America doing the same things. Turns out not so much. Turns out, the cost of doing business in North America is way harder. I'll tell you actually one massive, massive mistake I made that wasn't genuine to the brand, which was not hiring a field team and using an agency. So we were advised by Sephora quite rightly, you need to get yourself out in the market. We're a UK brand based in the UK. You need to get out there. You need to be spreading the word about your brand. Get people into store talking about your brand. Brilliant. Okay. Found this agency. I luckily we did a very, very good contract negotiation and managed to get out of it very, very, very quickly. But I walked into a Sephora door and was greeted by this guy, and he was like, "Hey, do you know about the Inkey List?" Obviously, I'm not going to do the American accent. I'm terrible at it, although I've pretty much lived there now. And this guy was like selling to me like he might as well have had the Inkey List like inside his coat. He literally had come off. He said he was a nightclub bouncer, and that he'd come off the shift and he was still wearing, the suit from the nightclub and then had a shift in store. And I was chatting to this guy, obviously he had no idea who I was, and he was trying to sell me the Inkey List. And I was like, oh, as a founder that is truly passionate about delivering the right support and education for people in a human or an authentic way, I was like, oh yeah, that's not the one. So yeah, that was a real moment where I thought I was doing the right thing by getting people into the market to deliver education, but I wasn't controlling it, and it was not good. You've got your mouth wide open.
I'm just shocked. Yeah, I'm like, how does that ever seem like a good idea? Just okay. Let's just unpack that a little bit. So what's the flip side of that? In fact, actually, that's a good place to start. What has worked? How have you managed to get the brand out there through the stores? I mean, particularly, how have you managed to educate people? Because that's core to the ethos of the brand. Like, how have you managed that in an entirely new country that no one's ever heard of you?
Every single level, back to shortcutting, you have to do at every single level, think about where consumers are and how you can educate them in different ways. We were one of the first brands onto TikTok, which was a huge, huge factor in our success in the US. And we were very clear about the way in which we wanted to educate on TikTok and really use the power of the brand and the fact that we break down information and make it super simple. So therefore you can do it in a super snappy, interesting way, right through to working super closely with the retail advisors, because they're the ones selling the brand every single day, making sure that we are educating very simply. Our job is to break things down that are complicated. So we do that in every single channel and every single way. Building a community in the US was actually not as hard as I thought, because I think the brand positioning just spoke to so many people, and there were a lot of creators at the time that were starting to get real traction from this idea of transparency and no BS and really kind of trying to educate versus just, selling the dream of magic. So we found quite a lot of creators quite early on that really resonated with who we were, and they did a huge part of the legwork of shouting about the brand, why we were different, and why people should come and have a look at the Inkey List.
That's amazing. And like, so you've got the retail associates. Like, how are you actually training them? I mean, specifically, right, you've got your TikTok content, you're putting it out, and that's blow by blow how the ingredients, how the products should be used. And how are you able to translate that down into the boots on the ground? Because you don't own those guys; they don't work for you. Like, so how did that happen?
Find someone incredible in the US. You as a British founder, they love the fact that we're British and cute, and they love to mock the accent and love. I don't know. They think we're posh, which is quite funny because I'm anything but posh. But there's a time and a place to use the Britishness. The American market does love the UK. But fundamentally, if you want to speak to that market, there's a real kind of US connection that was needed, and we brought on somebody incredible to drive education. And what he was really great at doing, and still works with us to this day, is translating education into sexy, snazzy snippets that the retail advisors could understand. Because guess what? They've got how many hundreds of brands and how many hundreds of products in their store. So how do you take the premise of Inkey, which is about making skincare simple to understand and easy to use, but giving it a hook that allows them to go, oh, I remember that because. So it was really important to us to get that American spin on the kind of no BS, straight talking British Inkey, if you will.
Love that. Can you buy ads against employees like that? Is that doable? Can we target that? I mean, LinkedIn would work, but I guess most of these guys aren't necessarily on LinkedIn. But Meta surely has some creepy data that you could buy.
I'm sure. Good question.
Maybe we should start a Sephora ad agency specifically just for launching companies into Sephora.
Maybe on our weekends. Let's give it a go.
Let's do it. Yeah, we'll do it. Like we'll put a business plan and a pitch and put it out there. See if the VCs are interested. Right. Okay. Cool. So going back to it, I want to go back to this bouncer just all of a sudden. Then
this was not the plan to talk about. I love this. I just I've never ever told this story before.
Well, look, it's fascinating, right? So the reason why I'm really interested in this is because, like, I'm obsessed with advocacy, and I love the way that stories travel between different people. And it's just like you managed to find the wrong advocate, yet then actually found these amazing advocates that went and told your story, particularly when you really knew what your story was because it worked in the UK and translating and that side of things. And so, like, how else are you building brand advocacy within this new territory, within this new country? I mean, clearly finding some things that didn't work, like bouncers flogging you in Sephora. What else have you stopped doing, and what have you really, really lent into?
I think we launched in 2018, right? So then we launched into North America in 2019. So we've been really through it as a brand in terms of going through a pandemic, because just as we got going and the moment we got full space in Sephora in stores. So you start on what's called like the next big thing wall. It's like a trending wall that has kind of new brands in, and we immediately went onto that wall, but then you get your own space. It's like the gondola or the wall, and it's like the big moment that you've made it. And do the same thing in Boots. And the moment we made it and we invested heavily in fixtures, we were meant to launch on the 17th of March 2020. So put all of our investment into fixturization, and then give it literally everywhere shut. So the reason I say that is because what we have been navigating over 6 years, including that period, is online, offline, and how you build a community and advocacy offline and online. And everyone talks omni-channel and multi-channel and all these things. I don't think anyone's really got it down, I really, really don't. But really working out, like, where is your consumer and how do you meet them where they are in the way that they want to be spoken to and in the way that they want to be interacted with is really, really important. And we were able, through the time of the pandemic, to maximize. Everyone was at home, not being able to go anywhere, and they were on their screens, bored, and we were able to capture them and build true advocacy. Mark and I were on lives every single week. We were one of the first brands again to go on to do Instagram lives, and we would sit with a glass of wine for hours on end talking to customers, literally just talking. They would say, like, this is my skin type, I don't know what to do. And we would just sit and there'd just be comments coming through, and we'd be chatting. We'd get our team on. We just built like a real level of human connection with an audience who, ironically, some of them still keep in touch with me now and will DM me now, because they were like our friend. We were like their friends, and people would say, this is like, I'm living for this. Like, my life is so dull right now. They might live on their own, and they'd be like, this Monday night, I know Inkey are going to be with me. And it was like a big part of people's lives. So we were able to like capture that moment. There's other moments like in real life where we were able to capture them in where they want to be in the right time. So Sephora do a thing called Sephoria, which is a huge, mega, like, think of it as like a trade show, but for consumers. And every brand has a booth, and it's bonkers, absolutely bonkers. We were a really, really young brand, and were asked to do this event, and we had no money. So we made our booth in the UK because we couldn't afford to make it in the US. Made it in the UK, shipped it out, took the entire team because we literally didn't have anyone. And we basically built this booth, and it was totally unique to Inkey. Every other booth was like Instagram ready, come have a photo with the founder, and was, for me, absolute BS, because it's like, what value are you giving to that consumer? We created a lab where people could talk to us about their skin and mix their own skincare serum, and we would personalize it. So they would walk away knowing their skin and having a personalized serum just for them. And we were completely unknown brand at that point. Completely nobody knew who we were. This is 2019. And we ended up being the biggest line of any stand at Sephora, because people were interested, excited, it was interactive. And again, I had someone 2 weeks ago that, when I was in New York, show me a photo and said, I met you at Sephora and I've been a fan ever since. So building advocacy for me is like, it's not one thing. It's about having an impact on somebody and a group of people in the right space at the right time in a way that they want to be spoken to. If I was to sit on Instagram right now with a glass of wine, people would be like, what are you doing? Like, I'm busy. Like, tell me what I need to know, and I'm going to move on. Like, look at TikTok lives now. It's fast, like boom, 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 boom. Whereas at the time, that was where people were, in a Sephora environment and an event environment. Give me something that excites me, intrigues me, lets me be part of it. So advocacies, for me, for the Inkey List, is building it the right way at the right time with the right people where they are.
Hey, it's me again. This podcast is sponsored by Duel, which is it's my company, actually. Duel is the leading brand advocacy platform used by the top retail consumer brands, including Unilever, Charlotte Tilbury, Elemis, Loop, and about 50 more, to manage, measure, and scale their advocacy, member, affiliate, creator, and brand ambassador operations. The platform offers unparalleled scale for complex brands by automating 9 out of 10 of the standard advocacy management activities and allowing them to focus on arming their advocates with the right tools to tell the brand story and drive social commerce. They can grow faster for less. We only work with 15% or so of the brands we speak to, but we try and add value in many other ways, this podcast being one of them. So if you are a brand that's interested in this, maybe a large consumer retail brand, ideally you're doing $20, $30 million as a minimum, and you're pretty advanced on social and you need to know what the next stage is, then please get in touch. Email me, paul@duel.tech. That is paul@duel.tech, or Google duel.tech. It's amazing. Well, if you think about advocacy as other people telling your story, but if your story is the same as everyone else's story, why would they tell it? It's got to be different. It's got to be interesting. It's got to be remarkable in the literal sense of the word.
But I have to say, it's exhausting.
Well, it is. So this is the original kind of idea behind this podcast was that I was interviewing founders of brands, purely founders, to understand what that magic secret sauce was that they had in that first sort of period of time. And now it's expanded out, and we go very tactical on all parts of the marketing journey and the advocacy journey. But the number one trend that I've spotted, pulled out from this, from about sort of 40 or 50 founders on there, is that first 0 to 10 million bit, the founder basically individually, one-to-one, sold every single piece of that.
Yes, there was a little bit of scaled marketing that goes on with one-to-many, but effectively they had a relationship with those people. They hustled, they went to every event, they were in person, they just got in the mix of it. And that created these phenomenal fans of the brand who then went and told everyone. And that is what built the brand. And I think that the tendency for people is to be like, okay, cool, I'm at this stage. I now must spend this much money on Meta, or I must spend this on there. And it's just like, no, you must be getting into it. You must meet people, like, because people love the founder story. And actually, if they meet you, they then go and tell 10 people about this incredible niche brand when they met the founder, and that you have 10 like customers for life because of that. And it's like that hustle that is the difference, the inflection point of people who push through 10 million, get to 20. Then once they get through 20, they get to 100, because that's the hard work is getting to that bit there, because then you can start scaling it. And it's fascinating, time and time, the same story, exactly what you said there. It's so
Wow.
inspirational. Just got to get in the weeds. Maybe not right now at this stage, you'll be on that, but I'm sure people would love it if you went on there. Are you on your TikTok lives by chance now?
I'm everywhere. I am the one hosting community events. I am the one I did, I think this last quarter, I did 50 calls with influencers.
Wow.
I don't want to work with people that aren't representative of my brand. I want to speak to people. I want to get to know them, and I want them to understand the brand. I don't want them selling, this is really great for your skin, and then they've moved on. I want them to believe in my mission. I want them to believe in what I'm doing, and then work out if there's a connection. But it's hard. It's hard work. I'm the one driving community events. I did probably over 40 community events this year. I am as passionate about our mission as I was when we started the brand. You know, we've not done enough of a job because people are still effing up their faces. They're still over exfoliating their skin. They're still buying things because they're viral on TikTok that aren't right for them. So I've not done my job yet. My job is not complete to spread that knowledge to a point where people are like, hey, I get it. It's sexy. I like it, but it's not for me. And if I can get people to do that, I've done my job. And if they buy an Inkey List product along the way, then fantastic.
Love that. And so one of the things that is a massive trend as well on brands that are successful, particularly that have community, is this generosity of spirit, generosity in time, which clearly you're doing here, but also generosity in product, and seeing product and gifting, and that as a mindset of getting product in people's hands, almost as a customer acquisition budget and way of doing that. And you lean into this quite a lot. Can you tell me a bit more?
Yeah. Getting the product out there and gifting. Gifting's always been a massive part of the brand, because I don't believe in, just paid partnerships. I believe in getting to a point of paid partnerships, but I'm not sure we've ever just gone out to someone and done a paid partnership. For me, it's about building the relationship, getting someone to try your product, them to organically like it. We find most of the people in our community that have just genuinely tried and like the brand, and then you build that relationship just from that gifting moment. So for me, it's such a great way into the brand, and it's expensive to a point where you're going to kiss a lot of frogs, you're going to get a lot of people that aren't right for the brand, but ultimately, if we can get the brands and the products out there to as many people as possible, it's effectively a sampling thing, isn't it? Think about, on a retailer website, you'd sample your product for people to try it. You're doing the exact same thing, but you're choosing the people that you're gifting product to. And it's tough. It's tough as a younger brand to be able to afford that, but I would much rather do the legwork of gifting than, pay 50 grand for one macro that might not pay off. And even if they do pay off in the short term, like I said before, I'm in this for the long game. And I think gifting for me is a much better way to not only grab somebody, but then there's like a way in which we build it. So you would kind of gift somebody our core product, find out the reaction, work out whether there's something here. Then they'll be first onto our MPD drops. Like, how are you building that relationship? How are you making them feel more and more special? And then at that point where you think there's something here, we'd invite them to an event, get to know them in person, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a vehicle in for me into the community. But again, it takes a lot of people packing boxes and filling in spreadsheets and going to the post office.
Have you operationalized that?
We have now. But I will never ever forget. This is another anecdote for you. So we had an office that we had managed to get rent free. We basically said to someone, we're going to do something. If we are loyal to you when we make it, we'll make sure that we stay with you. And we got free rent. And we had this office. We couldn't afford Wi-Fi, so I had just tethered off my phone, and we had a pasting table, like a wallpaper pasting table. And from day one, we were gifting. And I hired an intern, and I remember she was doing all the influencer bit, finding the right people, da 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 da. And I was like, cool. So boxes, blah 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 blah. And she looked at me and went, "Oh, I don't do that. I don't. I don't want to actually like pack and take things to the post office." And I remember looking at it, and I was like, "It's me or you." I was like, "If you're not going to do it, I'm going to have to do it." So obviously, hired you as an intern. But she was like, "Oh no, I want to be an influencer manager." I was like, "Cool, okay, I'll pack that box then." Awesome. So you've also got to find the right people that before you operationalize it can do the grunt work with you, because it's a lot.
Interesting. Yeah. Thoughts on a lot of the people, if you can't make it as an influencer, try to make it as an influencer manager, but it does sound that potentially you can't make it in very many places if you're not going to be happy to pack the boxes there. So what do you guys do about building this community that is different and unexpected?
So I would say the different touch points that we try to have. So as I said, the way that we gift, the way that we choose to gift is really trawling the right people that we feel have the right same values as us, same ethos in terms of education. The way in which we work with influencers, as I said, I am on the phone with influencers, building community and connections with them directly. And then I am somebody that is not a fan of, as you can tell, there is a place for paid, but I'm also not a fan of bribery. So not into brand trips, not into big fancy events. And even this week, we did a party. So I said to the team, right, Singles Day, I was like, it's a big commercial day, but I was like,
It's a big day outside of China. I wasn't aware that this was not
it's getting way, way bigger.
Cool.
It's getting way bigger as a commercial event. I was like, you know what? Let's flip it on its head, and let's take Singles Day, flip it on its head with our community. So we did I say a skincare party. We did a day of skincare parties, and I said to the team, and they looked at me like I'd lost it. And I said, we're going to do it in our office. And they were like, no one's going to want to come to our office. I was like, we're doing it in our office. So I want to bring our community to our HQ, because guess what? Imagine going to a brand's office rather than paying for a fancy restaurant or an event space that's fake and that looks beautiful, but that is not reality. I was like, bring them to the office. So I did a day of events. So I did 3 different classes where we bought customers, loyal customers, micro influencers, and their friends. So the whole idea of it was we're redefining Singles Day, and it was bring your BFF. So it was a BFF singles party. So it was about bringing you and a friend that won't know Inkey, so someone new to brand. And then I partnered with some of our key community to host the classes, and then they bought their community. So for me, this is about bringing genuine fans of the brand, genuine customers of the brand, and new to brand. And we did a low-key day full of skincare events, had a hell of a lot of fun, loads of new to brand. And I've just had the numbers in. We got the highest EMV of any event we've ever done.
And you know what, as they say, and obviously you've got your own ones and your own community in there. The best way of building a community is to steal someone else's, as I was told by my head of community literally yesterday. So I love what you're doing.
It's authentic, because I'm not saying we need you to, if you're going to partner with us, you need to bring this many people. It was like, get it out to your community. Like there was tickets, like say, does anyone want to come and have a great day with their BFF? And we're just building a bigger and bigger community of people that are interested. Oh, cool, I'll go along. And then they leave fans of the brand. They've tried it. They're excited. They've got to know us, and we build from there.
That's huge. It's also so easy to ask someone for one thing. Don't bring all your friends. Oh, not that. Bring your BFF. I know who my BFF is. Okay, I will bring them. It's like, don't like,
What's
oh,
the worst that they can happen? Like, even if the event was absolutely terrible, they're with their mate. So actually, they're going to have a nice time.
was there wine?
There was cocktails.
I mean, you can't go too far wrong, can you?
This is true. This is true. Although not as many people drink anymore. I'm showing my age, actually. It's not not so much of a draw, actually.
I totally see that in all the events we put on. It's you kind of typically there's an events budget when you're like, okay, well, this is how much you'll set aside and do those things, and then nothing gets drunk or eaten in many cases as well and do those things.
We yeah, it depends. Depends what you're offering. If it's sweet treats, people tend to.
Haha. Well, there's the secret. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Get better cakes.
That's so sweet. Oh, don't do anything fancy or try and feed them properly. No.
Just some cakes, cupcakes. I mean,
I love that. Like, I'm teaching you how to run an event with sweet treats. I'm not sponsored by a cupcake brand, but I probably should be.
You're not just teaching me; you're teaching all of the people listening to it as well. This is high quality content.
Stop spending money on lots of fancy food.
and on big influencers. Just bring them in, give them cake, give them some product. Massive EMV. Jobs are good.
I'm not gonna lie, that's exactly what we did.
Love it. Okay, cool. So, in terms of actually the brand as you're moving forward now, you've got this incredible community. When you talk about actually educating people beyond doing a TikTok post about a specific thing, like this is core to your mission as a business. Like, how else do you do that? Like, where can you show up in a different way, in an interesting way that you can really, really teach people about how this should be done and how they can become more aware of the products and how they should take care of their skin?
For us, it's just literally end to end. So think about anywhere the customer is and make sure you're educating them in a different way. Example, our packaging. Like, we literally built our packaging to be an education tool. So we will tell you how to pronounce the ingredient, because guess what? Loads of people can't even say the name of ingredients. We're going to tell you who it's for, how to use it, when in your routine it goes, morning and night. Like, simplicity, really easy education on the inside, on the outside. But then once you take it home, we will then go deeper into education. So when you get to your bathroom shelf and you're like, okay, how do we use this? Or what does that go? Or we're educating even more. So like, everything that we do is about finding ways to educate. Our VM unit in a lot of our stores, we have a QR code that is to speak live to our. So if you're confused, got a question, ask Inkey, you can go on the QR code and speak to our team. So if you're a fixture and don't know which product to go for, even though you should be able to do it by our packs, it should be, shouldn't have to be an assisted sale. But if you're still confused, we've got a team. They're there to help you anytime. And we actually say to the store advisors when we train them, if you're confused or you need help, like, please use our Ask Inkey service. So for me, it's like every touch point you can possibly be at with the consumer. How do we educate them?
And for anyone who's listening to this, Colette was doing a proper QVC demonstration there. So you can watch this on the YouTube. If you're not watching it, go to YouTube, Building Brand Advocacy, hit subscribe, and then you're going to get some incredible insight like that.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I went from cupcakes to salesperson then, didn't I?
This is great. This is the hustle. This is you showing what a founder needs to do to get above and build $100 million business. But like, how often are people doing that? Yes, there's QR codes, things. I mean, like, are we talking 5 people a day, 500 people a day? Like, what does this really look like? And then how do you actually build a system around that?
Do you know what? It's a really good point, because I think a lot of times the things that you think are going to be valuable are sometimes of like a vanity piece. And I remember when we launched our website, we actually launched our website not as a trading website, as an education only website. Sorry, that was me blowing my brains out. Like, honestly, the kind of focus on our mission has always been like almost to the point of insanity. But when we launched it, we were like, right, we're going to drive people there to help support them drive education, and then we'll push them out to retailer websites. And when we did that, now you're going to be like, okay, yeah, whatever. But at the time, I didn't know any other brands that were doing this. We did a skin quiz. And it was literally a way to help you find out the right products for you. And it's our recipe builder. So you can basically put in all your skin concerns. We've now AI'd it, so you can now take a photo and it'll tell you basically your skin and what's right for your skin. And we build you a routine. And when we did that, we were like, this is true to our mission, but didn't really know. And we thought this could be a vanity thing. It could be, like 10 people do it and it's game over. But over 10 million people have done that. And I think if you can deliver something that is truly valuable and that actually helps people, rather than, oh my God, let's go to the metaverse. Like there's so many things that we could have done that were cool and trendy and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure brands have made the metaverse work. But, we said, let's find something that we think will be valuable to our customer. And it was actually, the biggest thing they don't know is, great, you've taught me how to use one product or one ingredient, but where do I go from here? And building a routine builder actually has been one of the most successful things we've ever done.
That's incredible. And have you measured that in terms of, from that point, in terms of lifetime, not lifetime value, I guess, but how long do people stick around? Are they just coming back to it time and time again?
Yes,
That is
we
the
do
entry
find
point?
that. We do find that there's a huge correlation between AOV, obviously, because you're building routines, but also lifetime value. There's a huge correlation of people that make the effort to go through that. And even though it takes 2 minutes, but it's still an effort on the consumer's part, it definitely translates. We are not optimizing it, I wouldn't say. But one thing I will say, it's really hard to actually get people to it. We've tried to do like ads, and the ads don't actually work. It almost feels like you have to kind of be in that mindset yourself of like trying to find the answer and, oh my God, amazing, this will help me, rather than pushing, come and do our routine builder. Like people are like, sod off. Like, again, it's finding, like, meeting them where they are. But when they do it, yeah, they're way more loyal, way better customer for us.
And is it like, do you find the creators talking about that is beneficial? Like, where's he trying to point? Because obviously it's always very crude. You're like, go and buy this product. But actually, like, go here and use this thing as so much more powerful. It's so much more educational and value add. Like, are you using them for that?
Not specifically, but I think it's kind of an arm, like part of our armor, if you will. Like if a creator wants to talk about the brand, there's so many ways in which they can talk about it, but it's got to be relevant to their audience and the way that they talk. So, do you struggle with your skin? The Inkey team can help you out. Or, do you not know the order of your routine? You can go to the routine builder. So it's used within the toolkit of what creators can talk to, but we don't and haven't run specific like creator campaigns on talk about our recipe builder. It's more of an organic thing that customers find and use, which I should probably write some notes on, maybe.
Wow. Well, let's see. I always find it.
Get on it. Get on briefing some creators for me.
Colette Laxton, what a legend from the Inkey List. Thank you so much for being on Building Brand Advocacy.
I have loved it. Thank you so much, Paul.
That was another episode of Building Brand Advocacy, the world's top brand building podcast. To find out more about building brand advocacy and how this podcast is part of a bigger plan for our brand building cookbook, then make sure to search for Building Brand Advocacy in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else that podcasts are found, and make sure that you click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Thanks to Duel for sponsoring. To find out more, go to www.duel.tech, that's duel.tech. And on behalf of the team here at Building Brand Advocacy, thanks for listening.